This is a disclaimer video for any brand that's selling high ticket average order value items. And the reason why I'm making this video is that we've had multiple clients over the course of the last few years make a big pivot in terms of their product portfolio, where they've gone from selling small $50 to $60 items and they've moved into the larger average order value ticket space. Okay, they start selling $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 products and putting that into their product portfolio and wanting to prioritize those products because at a unit level, there's obviously a lot more profit that lies in moving as $3,000 product in comparison to a $40 product. But what this video is going to be about is budgeting. And that's that when you start to sell much higher ticket items, and this is like one of the fundamental issues with e-commerce when you're working with high ticket clients, is CPAs are much higher in comparison to the efficiency target. And so you have to spend a lot more to be able to actually see consistent volume over time. And the reality is that you have to spend tons to see any kind of daily consistency. And so you end up in a position, particularly if you've made a pivot from selling $40 products to $3,000 products, where you have consistency in daily revenue. Every single day you're doing $2,600 almost like that. And the reason being is because you're turning over 100 to 200 units. And so if you have 5%, 10% variance in terms of conversion rates on a day-to-day basis, it barely impacts the overall figure because you have so many small little units that are tying up to that number. But if you're selling $3,000 products, and once again, let's take that same example of an average revenue of $2,600 a day. Well, now you should expect a conversion about every 1.5 days. And so you might have a conversion today, not have one tomorrow, expect to have one on day 3, but a little bit of variance kicks in, you don't get one. And then it comes through on day 4. And so you end up with this weird inconsistency where you can't really look at day-to-day, week-to-week, sometimes even monthly figures. And you really need to zoom out to have statistical relevancy on whether something is actually working or not. And that's what becomes so hard when you're working with brands like these, is because you can't qualify the changes that you're making until you've accumulated quite a long time horizon of data. What I mean by that is you want to go and test a new creative on Facebook. All the core metrics are good. CTRs are good. CPMs are good. CPCs are good. But you're just not going to get a purchase until you've spent at least $800 on that ad because you have an average $800 CPA. And so you have to sit around for quite an extended period of time, depending on the budget, before you even know if this thing's producing conversions or if it's just producing a lot of traffic. And so that is what becomes hard about paid media when you start to tie it into brands that have high budgeting. And this is the relationship so that people can just have a bit of an understanding here, which is that if you have an average order value of $200 and you have a 4 ROAS target or acquisition mode target, MER target, however which way you want to cut this, but let's just call it ROAS. That means that you have a CPA of $50. Now, if you have a budget per month of $2,000, that means you're going to be selling 40 units a month or 9.3 units a week, or that obviously breaks down into 1 to 2 units a day. And so you're going to see relative consistency there. Now, particularly if you go and ramp budgets up to $5,000, you should see relative consistency across the week and be able to go, well, if we sell 15 in a week, that was clearly a loss and we should change things. If we sell 28 in a week, we're doing something well, let's keep doing that. And so you can very easily get rapid feedback because of how many orders you're pushing through per month. Now, if we change this to the average order value being 3,000, and this is a real example of an actual client that we have, which spending about 5,000, they're actually spending, let's bump this up to about 9,000. And their average order value has suddenly gone up by 12x to $3,000. Same ROAS target, but now the CPA jumps from 50 to 750, which means that now instead of selling 180 units per month, we're expected to sell 12. And so the expected units sold per week is now a little bit under 3. And so when we end the week and we sell 2, it's hard to really even determine whether that was a bad week because we don't expect to sell 3. We in fact need a little bit extra days to sell 3. So maybe we look at 10-day periods. But if we're looking at 10-day periods, what if just Sally, who was going to buy, didn't decide to buy today and is actually going to buy tomorrow? And so you end up with 4 sales in the next period and 2 here. Okay, over 2 weeks, we're fine. But in 1 week, it looks bad. And so we're making decisions off 1 week of data with 1 conversion. I don't think 1 conversion is enough statistically relevant data to make big decisions here. And so we start ending up in a position where, well, we probably need to end the whole month and go, did we sell 12? If we only sold 10, probably an issue. If we sold 14, great, we did a good job. And so now the decision cadence increases substantially just because of the average order value of the item. Same business, same budget. But now instead of us being able to make decisions weekly, we have to wait and make decisions monthly. Or else we're just acting on too little data and we're probably just going to impose our own human bias on the decision-making here. And so you might be thinking we're coming up on the 6-minute mark in this video and this is where I give a solution to this problem. And the reality is there isn't a solution, which is why I started this with the disclaimer. The disclaimer is this is the harsh reality of selling high-ticket products with low budgets. If you're coming in with a $40,000 budget, this is a very different story, okay? Because you're obviously going to have enough expected volume turning over so you can make decisions rapidly. But if you're trying to sell very high-ticket items with very low budgets, and in fact, I've seen extreme versions of this where people are selling $4,000 products with expected ROAS of 5, but they have a budget of $2,500 a month. And I've obviously had to have this discussion that, well, expected units sold per month is going to be 3. And so our ability to make decisions is going to be so lagged. We're going to have to launch stuff and then wait a month, arguably 2 months before we can say, did this work or did this not? And then pivot, and then wait another 2 months, and then pivot, and then wait another 2 months, and then pivot. And so it's a really important consideration if you're going to go high ticket that you need budget if you want decisions being made quickly and if you want to move quickly and scale quickly. If you're happy with moving very, very slowly and just waiting for the data to accumulate, then obviously that's fine. But know that there's going to be massive inconsistencies on a daily and a weekly cadence.